Yes, we love them.
We'll probably get JPS out of who was at Marshall transfer. He's friend, he's friend.
I saw that too. I'm like,
And you got this.
Oh, he should be there.
Oh,
Yeah, the soccer ended, ended a while ago.
Hi, I'm Linda. Nice to meet you finally.
Board of Education will now come to order at 6:02. May I have a roll call, please?
Davalos. Present. Mellon. Here. Met. Australia.
Here.
Wellington.
Here.
Yaffe here. Vote.
Here. Okay, first thing we have is citizens' comments. I see Mr. Phelps would like to come on up.
All right.
I promise you, I'll be within the 3-minute time limit today.
Fabulous.
Okay. I was hoping Tom would also be here as well. Just want to say for Sarah and also publicly Tom, on behalf of the faculty, I just want to say thank you very much for your service to the district for the past several years. I think it's important that we have numerous voices representing our board, that we meet the needs of all of our kids. And thank you for your service. And I want to say for Tom, I can't tell you how many times I had conversations with Tom. Why not us? Why not Wonderland High School? And so he was always been an advocate for this board. I don't want to speak about anything else because I have a feeling things are going to be shifted around tonight and other people will remain. But okay, so I just want to say thank you for all that you did for us over the past several years, especially in this past year. It was a very difficult year through the direction of the board in general. We got through it with as best as we could. And a lot of, Sturm and Drang, like a lot of stress and strain in other districts. And we had a little bit of that as well, but I think we got through it as best as possible. So also thank you for the rest of the board. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your leadership. And thank you for allowing us to provide the best education we possibly can based on the circumstances. So thank you for all that you've done for us in the past year, and thank you. And thank you for being an advocate for the district and excellent role model for the community in terms of, that people can serve and serve the public and do right by our kids.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for speaking.
Great. So the next thing we're going to do is confirm the Lake County Clerk canvass of votes from the April 6, 2020 nonpartisan election and proclaim the winners. Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mellon.
Yes.
Wellington.
Yes.
Yaffe, yes. Vote.
Yes.
Davalos.
Yes.
Met. Oh, sorry about that. Australia.
Yes.
So the results proclaim the following were elected to serve as members of the Board of Education of Manila High School District 120 for a full 4-year term were Laura Mellon, Mark Ponce. Am I saying that properly? Okay, Ponce, okay. Linda Vecchi,
Becky.
Becky, okay, sorry, and Laura Pope. Results proclaiming the following elected to serve as Board of Education of Manalapan High School District 120 for an unexpired 2-year term. So got that done. So congratulations. The next thing we need to do is to appoint a president and secretary pro tem for the reorganization. So Laura,
I nominate Laura Polk as president. Pro tem.
and I'll nominate Lisa Fote as pro tem secretary. Yes. Okay. All right, so the next thing, this is new because we don't do this very often. So next thing, that was the last point of business. Do we have to take a vote?
We need you to adjourn Board Sendai.
Okay, so we need to do an adjournment of the board Sendai. May I have a motion?
Second.
Davalos,
Yes.
Wellington,
Yes.
Yaki, yes. Vote,
Yes.
Mellon,
Yes.
Mastrelli.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we pause just for questions of procedure? I have a couple of lines here. Sorry. We're doing it in the correct order, right?
Yes.
Okay. We're good.
All right,
So
so
Laura, one of the things I'd like to do before we conclude the business for this board, since Sendai, so technically the business of the board of this 7 is not concluded. And as we move forward, I just wanted to say a few words to Tom publicly and for Sarah. You have put yourself before others is the best way I could describe it. And to say that means it's a life of service. And you've done that, Sarah, for the past 6 years. And I think of the past 6 years, you've always been student focused. You've been committed to what is best for our students and our community. And you've taken it to greater lengths than most by serving on multiple committees, and also participating in our monthly meetings, preparing for the board to make sure that you're up to speed on what we were doing. Your graciousness and insight that you shared with me is greatly appreciated and will certainly be missed. Tom, I know you're probably not listening, but I can figure you might listen to the recording at one point in time. I want to thank you for staying Mundelein centered. Dean summed it up best when you kept saying, why not Mundelein? You've always been a very creative thinker, and you've always been willing to stretch the boundaries just to see how far we could go as a group. And you've been also very balanced in some of the most turbulent times. When I think back to the past 6 years, at least Sarah's been in with us for 6 years, just what has occurred on our board. You've transitioned the school district from a block schedule to an 8-period day. You've transitioned to provide more students opportunities to earn honors credit by adopting an earned honors coursework. You've went through your own journey in equity to learn about what that means for you and for our district. And you've given us permission as a district to talk about racism. In that process, you've come to the point where you developed your own policy as part of a member of the board that's given us guidelines for how we should operate for years to come. You've also taken steps for us to be in a shared service, which by no means was an easy step to take. It shows you that you're progressive as a group, and your leadership and guidance in that process are greatly appreciated by all. And all in all, you've also managed to do this during probably the most difficult time anybody could imagine to be a board member. And you've done it with grace, kindness, and patience. So Sarah, to you and Tom, thank you very much. We have a plaque here for you for your service, and you can eat the cannolis whenever you want. So on behalf of the administration staff and your colleagues, Sarah, Tom, if you're here, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
All right, well, and Sarah, I'm gonna take a second too. Sarah, I speak on behalf of the entire board, you and Tom. I wish Tom was here too, but you've always stepped forward when we needed. This has been, as Kevin has said, probably the most challenging year for board members as far as stepping up to the plate, trying to make the best decisions with lots of input from different parents and different opinions of what should be done. And I think it shows that you, Tom, and everyone on this board has done a great job. By our kids are getting the best from their teachers. parents. I've gotten, emails, but never disrespectful, always wonderful input of trying to help us navigate these tricky waters of this pandemic. So again, thank you for all the years of your service, Tom, as well. Wish you were here. But yeah, we appreciate just everything you brought to the table, your calmness, your dedication, because to be honest, we were lucky. No one here has ever really missed a meeting. We've been full strength almost through this entire pandemic, plus additional extra committee work. So we appreciate it, and I wish you lots of fun having your Tuesday nights freed up in the future.
We will be something like, well, no, I just want to take a moment just to say, it has been a pleasure serving at Mondaland High School. So it was something that you come to learn something as an experience, and then you focus on the students or so. But I think we have a wonderful staff that a great administration or so, and secretary is always available for us to whenever we struggle or we have anything that we needed to, was always there for Anna or so. And then we have a extraordinary superintendent. He's so passionate for the students and for the education, and he's so integrated into the community or so. And a great panel to support Kevin and the whole school and the committee. So it has been my pleasure serving at Mondaland High School. And also be around. Thank you for all the support too.
Sarah.
Sarah, this is the time. You're able to go. Time to pack up. Time to pack up. You don't have to go home.
No, I'm not. He's gonna talk and I'm gonna eat.
Come on back here. You can see what it's like with us.
And I can sit back there.
Yeah, come on back there.
But that's it.
That's it.
All right, so my husband, it's gonna be a long one.
See? You don't get any go now. Go on, forget it. Yeah,
No, and
we'll go sit next to Sarah.
and welcome the new board to you. New board member. And
You should have done a rehearsal.
I know. We need a rehearsal minute.
It's once every couple of years.
We're not very smooth.
Yeah.
I like it real.
All right. So the next part will be the administration of the oath of office to new board members.
Mark and Linda, please come forward.
In the middle.
Thanks for that.
I have the part where they need to be a rehearsal.
You sit on
Yeah.
the side or you want to?
They don't do a rehearsal. Maybe we'll just give you a short sentence if it's too long.
We'll have you just stand and take oath, and then we'll.
Well, the video, I think, for the TV.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. So we've got two diagonal lines. So if you stand behind those,
okay, there.
Okay.
then everybody will be able to see you.
Okay. Anna will give you both a copy.
Thank you.
Just right.
All right, well, welcome. We're excited. Each board member, before taking his or her seat on the board, shall take the following oath of office. I'm going to read each section, and you will repeat and put. So.
And just when you do it, you don't need to reread it. Just affirm as board members, you agree to that. Okay, we're Linda and Mark, so you don't need to reread the whole thing.
Okay, so
Do we get to say it to you? Yes.
I
We
affirm.
Okay.
Come on in. Go sit back.
You already finished saying nice things about it.
yeah, we all.
You gotta join the common folks, Tom.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, is my last meeting elite?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Go.
All right,
Hold on.
I-
Hold on,
Let's
you
go.
can, wait, screen. So you can stand just a little bit closer together, maybe.
There.
there you go, you're both in.
That's great. Okay, there you go.
Okay, it's a whole new world with everybody's on screen. So they'll
We
get-
can see the whole room.
Okay, so the first section is I.
I,
Can you state your name?
I, Mark Ponce,
I, Linda Vecchi,
Okay, and then I'll read the rest. I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Mundelein Consolidated High School District 120 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of Illinois, and the laws of the state of Illinois to the best of my ability. I further swear that I shall respect taxpayers' interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual, and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting. I shall abide by the majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. As a part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every school student in the school district. I shall foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Mundelein High School District 120. I shall assist in establishing a structure and an environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall strive to ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement in all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law. I shall serve as the education's key advocate on behalf of students in our community school or schools to advance the vision for Mundelein Consolidated High School District 120. And I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district toward fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development. Do you affirm?
I affirm.
I affirm.
It's a-
Welcome to the board.
Welcome to the board. It's
Thank you.
official.
Yep, take seats. Where do you want to go?
Any seats, like.
Seats?
The other board members don't need to take this.
They will.
We'll be here when the board also. Oh, okay, I'll go there.
But one of the things we want to make sure is with the oath, because Laura Mellon and Laura Vogt also were voted in. So Laura Vogt just read the oath, so do Laura Vogt and Laura Mellon both affirm that they will follow the oath to the board member?
I affirm I will.
I affirm as well.
All right. So the next part of our process is here, and as Kevin said, we only do this every couple of years, so it's a little need our dress rehearsal, but the next thing we need to do is to waive and suspend policy provisions relating to board vacancies. Because we also have 2 board members that we would need to appoint, but we have candidates that are well aware of their responsibilities and have served the district and are willing to take on that challenge again. So would everyone be, we need a motion to waive and suspend those policies. And the reason we're doing it is that we can have a complete board next week when we start our whole process again. Okay, everybody good with that?
Is there an actual motion?
Yes, there is an actual motion. So the board action item would be to waive and suspend policy provisions relating to board vacancies.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, you guys understand what we're talking about, of waiving the policy that's not needed, okay.
We talked a little bit about it.
Okay, so can you read the
Went
motion?
over,
That was the motion.
But you didn't read the recommendation.
Oh,
You read the heading, but not the motion.
8.8A.
all right, so the recommended motion is that the Board of Education of Mundelein High School District 120 temporarily suspend and waive policy 2.70 provisions for publicizing and accepting resumes for a board vacancy relating to existing vacancies. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mallon,
Yes.
Ponce,
Yes.
Becky. Yes. Kathy, yes, vote.
Yes. All right, so the next thing we need to do is appoint the 6th and 7th board members. All right. So the recommended motion is that the Board of Education of Mundelein High School, Mundelein Consolidated High School District 120 appoint Peter Wistrelli and Aaron Wellington as members of the Board of Education of High School District 120. Peter Wellington, or Peter Wistrelli, sorry. Peter Wistrelli and Aaron Wellington in the 2-year terms as Board of Education members will expire in April of 2023.
So moved.
Second. Mallon,
Yes.
Kathy, yes, vote.
Yes.
Ponce,
Yes.
Becky. Yes.
So now we need to have Peter come up.
Yep. Doing next.
Right, we'll have you guys stand exactly there as well.
Right here, right?
So you guys in the camera, yep,
Follow along.
I think we're good.
Scooch up.
There you go. That's the same thing.
All right.
State your name. I,
Peter Estrella.
okay, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Mundelein Consolidated High School District 120 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of Illinois, and the laws of the state of Illinois to the best of my ability. I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect freedom of expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting. I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. As a part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district. I shall foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Mundelein Consolidated High School District 120. I shall assist in establishing a structure and environment designed to ensure that all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall strive to ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law. And I shall serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students in our community school or schools to advance the vision for Mundelein Consolidated High School District 120. And I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district toward fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development. Do you affirm these things?
I do.
I do.
Short bit of bacon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can I get 2 boxes for the one?
Yes, sir.
You getting Tom?
I think Tom's gonna be back for this.
All right, so the next thing is reorganization. So
Before we start, are there any questions about what the roles are of these president, vice president, or secretary?
Okay, now, Mark, you've been on board 3 months, so you kind of know the procedural. Linda, have you? Okay. It's very fresh in your memory then. So there'll be a nomination and then we'll take a vote. And then we will also have committee assignments later, just so you kind of roll. Okay. So the first one, I need a nomination for the Board of Education President.
I nominate Laura Vogt.
Do we need seconds? Did you say we do? We do not, you're right.
Okay. And then the second one will be the nomination of the Vice President.
Laura, we
Wait.
need to do
Oh,
missed
multiple
one.
requests for nominations.
Does anybody have
You're
a?
supposed to ask 3 times.
3 times? Okay, all right, so. Is there anyone else interested in nominating president?
Right.
Okay. Another time, any more nominations for president? Okay,
Yeah, you're working on speech.
okay. Now, the second thing is. So now we need a motion, and do we vote or do we?
You
You're
vote
on
on
this line.
president right now.
This
Okay.
line right here, President Pro Tem.
Okay,
Motion's been made.
a motion has been made. If no other nominations are immediately received. To nominate,
A motion's been made to nominate Laura Vogt.
okay,
Secretary Pro Tem will not. That's a lot.
all right. Motion's been made to nominate Laura Vogt to the office of president. The secretary pro tem will now call the roll for voting on the office of president.
Mellon,
Yes.
Ponce,
Yes.
Australia,
Yes.
Becky, yes. Wellington,
Yes.
Yappi, yes. Vogt.
Yes,
Now we just follow the same procedure.
okay, all right. Vice president. Nominations are now in order for the office of vice president. Any member of the board may nominate any other member, and nominations do not require a second.
I mean, Peter Rostelli.
Is there any other nominations? Peter Shelley's nominated. For a third time, any other nominations? So everyone's like, so quiet. Well, all right. All right, if there are no other nominations immediately received, okay, so a motion has been made to nominate Peter Rostelli to the office of vice president. The secretary pro tem will now call the roll for voting on the office of vice president.
Wellington,
Yes.
Yappi, yes. Vogt,
Yes,
Mellon,
Yes.
Ponce,
Yes.
Australia,
Yes.
Becky, yes.
this is the tricky one, secretary. Nominations are now in order for the office of secretary. Every new member of the board may nominate any other member, and nominations do not require a second.
You don't want to do that.
Didn't resolve this, did we?
No, this was not resolved, so nominate away.
So this is unresolved.
I'm gonna nominate Darren Wellington.
I'll nominate Lisa.
Oh, all right, there we go.
There we go.
So,
So we have a nomination for Aaron and Lisa?
Yes.
Okay.
So how does the vote go then?
So you still need to call one more time just to make sure nobody else wants to cover the position.
Are there any more nominations for secretary? I think it's between those two.
So this doesn't happen often. So as a board, you have a choice. You can either just do by hand all at once with saying a name. For example, everybody in favor of Lisa being secretary, raise your hand. Then go next time, everyone in favor of Aaron, raise your hand, and majority vote gets it. And you can't vote for the same person.
Don't they get to make a campaign speech first?
Oh my gosh.
Is there someone who, since he wants it truly?
Right. I mean, somebody could withdraw if they want.
Sure.
You're interested in doing this, are you?
Yeah, I stated before that if Lisa was no longer interested in doing it, that I'd be happy to take it over. She wasn't sure if she wanted to continue doing it, so I said if she didn't want to continue doing it, then I'd be happy to do it.
And I appreciate serving and I'm happy to do so, but I'm happy to defer to Aaron, so I will withdraw.
Then, motion has been made to nominate Aaron Wellington to the office of secretary. The secretary pro tem will now call the roll for voting on the office of secretary.
Vote,
Yes.
Mellon,
Yes.
Honset,
Yes.
Pastrelli,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Wellington,
Yes.
Yaffe, yes.
So Aaron Wellington receives the majority of the votes and is elected secretary. We got-
Over the papers, please. Get it done.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
So he actually does adjourn the session right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm giving it over.
There you go.
All right.
Full time. All right, well, we're officially reorganized. We got to do that process. I turned it on airplane mode. All right, so the next thing is we need to talk about committee and representative appointments. Now, I had, there's a listing in your packet that you can look at. It will give you all the different committees that you can serve on. And I think we should take some time to talk about time commitments. I know everybody has their professional life and whatever you have going on at your home. So we can tell you a little bit about what the time commitments are for these positions and what they entail, so then you can choose and what interests you. You know, you'll do better if you're interested in it and have time for it. So so we can go through them committee by committee, and who's ever been on those committees can kind of give you a little insight, and you are welcome to ask any questions about, you know, what you may have. So the first one is a representative appointment is for CEDAW. We only need one person. It's very limited. It's how often does it
Quarterly.
Quarterly?
Quarterly meetings.
Quarterly.
So you're attending another board meeting, you need to prepare for it just like you would for any other board meeting. They give you the packet in advance. Personally, I'd say you probably need to account for roughly each board meeting, about 3 hours total. Meetings go about 2 hours, usually hour worth of time prepping for the meeting, just making sure you have the information you need before going in. It's at least been my experience. Lisa, you probably served on that too, so. Do that.
Yeah, I would add that, although there's a history that you both need to hear about in terms of our relationship with the special education district of Lake County, a significant portion of our funds goes there. I mean, maybe not a significant portion, but a not insignificant amount is a better way of saying it. And, but in addition to the finances, it can be extremely rewarding and heartwarming to see how the county is addressing the needs of the students who most desperately need that kind of support. So it can be a rewarding turn of duty to spend doing that.
Okay, so that's the first one. The next one is community outreach. Basically, community outreach, you kind of report back on attending school events. I have 2 daughters at the high school currently, and I had 3 at one point. I go to different events that they had throughout the year that you can attend to see what they're doing. It can be anything from football games, marching band, baseball games. It can be some events that are going on in the school. Like they have the introduction at the beginning of freshman year, so freshmen clubs are in. It's a wide range of things. So you can't make them all because there's so many activities really going on at the high school at any given time. It's amazing. But you bring back to the board what you were able to see going on and, how attendance was. And I mean, I've been attending basketball games for years and this year was really kind of weird for senior night. So it was a different feel. So just kind of for those who don't have kids in the district, it's helpful to hear what's going on. Because if you're not hearing it from your student, it's nice to know what events are taking place and school board members are welcome to attend. Like they do Memorial Day one, they did the breakfast or the lunch.
Yep.
Want to tell them about that one? That's a cool one.
The senior award winners.
Yeah.
So at the end of the year, typically one of the events would be to go to the students that have been nominated throughout the year for special recognition. I'd say it's probably students that just isn't for academic or athletic reasons. Just that you see students that are doing something in the hallway, they've been nominated for the teacher. At the end of the year, we have a breakfast. So we have everybody come in and we recognize them for those actions.
So this community is more internal community, not external community.
Yes.
I asked
More
because
school
like at
events.
Fremont, sometimes we'd have to go over to like Del Webb and educate them because they would always come and complain about their taxes and we'd have to go explain to them about how school funding works and all that kind of stuff. So this is more internal.
This is more
community.
internal.
Gotcha.
I'm sure Kevin wouldn't mind any help with that because he does go to Del Webb and try and explain where all, tax dollars go, but it is more of events that are taking place at the high school.
Thank you.
Okay, and then the next one is press policy, which is always a good time. How much time does press policy take?
So press policy, we've typically been getting a packet of those roughly once a month, it seems like. If not monthly, every 2 months, we get a packet, and it's usually anywhere between 100 to 300 pages worth of board policy updates that are based off the legislative updates that have come through. And what's required is for the board members to go through those, see if there's any questions they would have on them in relation to what our current policy is. And administratively, we'll get feedback and saying if any of those policies change based off of what we've seen also, and then report that back to the board. I think a great example is the equity policy that we had. Time length wise, I mean, minimum at least an hour, if not 2, and then it's reporting back to the board on the plan.
The next one is the legislative. Laura Mellon has done a fabulous job of that since I've been on the board. She will go and see what votes are coming up in Springfield and let us know how they'll possibly affect our district. But Laura, you want to speak to what you do with that, or do you want to just continue?
I was gonna say, I want to continue, but I don't want to give that one up because I really like it.
And we love her for that.
Well, and I do want to also announce that HR 7 did get defeated, right? So, and you can look and see if your representative voted for it or not, but I know that our representatives voted against it. So I would really appreciate it if you would reach out to your representative and say thank you for listening to the scores of us who did say something so that they know that we're not just kind of like sitting back. So it's like, just to let them know that we appreciate it. So. Yeah, that's all I'm telling you because you can't have it.
She does a great job because I never knew exactly how much impact what Springfield, I mean, I knew they had an impact, but she really keeps us really up to date on what they're talking about right now when the vote's coming, so that we'll have a better feeling of how to respond. The next one is the MHS Foundation. I don't know who was on that.
I don't think we've had anybody on it since Jane. So they meet probably every other month. The requirement would be probably about 2 hours. They plan fundraisers. So the board member would be a connection for that. They would ask for you to participate on the fundraisers. Some of them are like selling 50-50 during the football games. They do some selling for winter gloves. They participate in the preseason or pre-sale tickets for athletic events. So they do that, and then they use the funds, and at the end of the year, put that towards scholarship money for students. So then that board reviews the applicants, and then they distribute the scholarship funds to those students. And the scholarship process probably takes, it's over a 2 to 3 day period with meeting with the students, plus any prep that would take to read the applications.
And Jane has always had high praise for the group of people that are involved in the foundation, so you're dealing with, good quality people.
Next one is probably the least amount of time, the sick day.
Yep.
That's probably you don't have much time, that might be your highest choice.
So sick bank is as needed. We have an agreement in our union contract that if an employee runs out of sick time, that they can apply for additional time. Union representation, administrative representation, and the board member rep come together. They meet to discuss the reason for the request, and then together say yay or nay with extending that time. At most, we might do this once a year, but more than likely, it's like every other year, maybe.
It's died down recently.
Yeah. So look at maybe once a year for a meeting.
All right, and then the next one is the IASB delegate, so that's usually during the conference in November. There's whatever issue or whatever discussion they're having that you need to have your district vote on. Matt did that for us, and it was really good because there was several discussions about guns in schools, and down south had a different viewpoint. So to know, and we will discuss whatever the issue is as a board so that you will know how to represent District 120. So that's just a once a year. You go to the delegate meeting down there at the conference if the conference in fact takes place again. So.
We got committee appointments now.
Okay, so the next thing will be the committee appointments. And then there are, yeah, that was,
Yeah, that was flipped over.
for the finance and facilities. We need 2 members. I believe Tom was on that before.
Yeah,
As well, so you'll meet with Andy and discuss, long-term goals and questions, and we can kind of bring you up to speed on, what the goals are long-term for our district, what are some of the expenses of those things, and whatever financial issues we're dealing with at the present.
we'll typically try to take you through the budgeting cycle. So it's usually meeting 2 to 3 times during the year. When we're doing the levy and just doing the new budget come for August, doing the levy come December, and then in the spring, like now, any long-term planning that we have for projects, bringing you in, so you get updated on that, and then the board members follow up with the rest of the board at the next meeting. So it's 2 to 3 meetings in a year typically.
The next thing is shared services. And that is, we share services. So I don't know if you've heard, but Kevin,
He took us through it when we did.
okay, so then you have a little bit of the background of what shared services and why we entered into that agreement, and I think that's more of an end.
So it's in the declaration that we meet at least once a year. We've been meeting at least twice a year. The reason for the meetings are to establish what we have for goals, which we're going to do in July as a collective group. We're going to have a joint meeting, and then we'll have another meeting prior to that in between January and February, saying the smaller group, now this would be this committee, how are we doing in shared services? Because we need to designate whether or not each district wants to continue in the shared services model.
It's a large board. I think we would look for a recommendation from these delegates to
Yes.
keep us informed, but also formally to tell us we recommend that we continue or modify.
And I was on the original committee that went through the entire process, and this has been a long process for us. You didn't just jump into it. So if you want any history on why we made some of the decisions that we did, I am happy to discuss, what our intentions were going into the shared services and what our long-term goals were with it. And the last one is equity policy, and Lisa and Laura Melling have taken the lead with that, so if you want to speak to that.
Well, equity has been a goal for a while, and then we undertook a several-month, multi-month journey to create a policy, which we just accepted or approved last meeting. And I don't know that we need to continue to have a policy team.
I mean, I think we were just supposed to have regular updates on how the policy is being affected through the school. But that's something that's, you know, in our regular board meetings.
Yeah, I think it's embedded now into the policy that
Yeah.
we will be reporting, the administration will be reporting to us as a board. So I don't know that we still need that one.
I think we can cross it off.
Okay. All right. So Clayton, we will be incorporating that, and again, ask questions if you don't know it, because I know every board and, you know, through first experience, everyone does it a little differently, so feel free to ask questions, because I want you to feel like you understand what we're doing and how we're doing it, so that you're not feeling like you're trying to vote on something you really don't understand. Okay,
Isn't this a moment though for us to say, are these the right ones? Do we need any more? Do they need to change their reason for being?
we definitely can.
Not that I have any of those proposals, but I just.
I was gonna say, that might be something we can put in.
One of the things we could do if you want is give the board the rest of this week to go through the committees and then think of some of the questions you may have, especially for Linda and Mark. And then on the 4th, we'll put this as an activity to go back through. Okay. To be able to say, here's the committee that we think we'd want to be interested in. So that, in all fairness, give them more time to.
Yeah, my question would be, whereas Laura spoke up and said, I want to keep legislative, is there a committee that you guys have been on that you want to stay with, that you're passionate about, before Mark or I would say, oh, hey, I'd love to do CEDAW, wouldn't want to, Bigfoot somebody who's been around. So that would be my question is there a committee that you guys are on that you want to keep as your baby?
Well, and just to add to this method of thinking, hello.
Hey, well,
The number of members we have too on these isn't dictated necessarily. So as long as we don't have 3, which would put us into a whole another level of complication. If we want to have 2 for some of them, we could as well. So
Yeah, my question, the press policy, the way you describe that is that just one person gets this packet, pours through it, or are we meeting with people from other places? Like, what else is involved with that?
so we could have 2 members, if you wanted to go through that in press policy.
Okay.
The way I said last time, yes, it was 1 individual. And then
Just
what we-
reading 300 pages.
Yeah, well, they give good cliff notes in there.
Right.
You can also look to highlight things. I think one of the things that you can also do is, especially starting off, work through, I'll do my best to say, hey,
Right.
here are some of the things that we really need to look at that are significant changes, and that's what you read in the cliff notes also.
So this is part of the challenge, is that as board members who are approving these policies, technically, we should all know what's in them if we're gonna approve them. But the purpose of having these folks is that they're actually gonna read it and process it and they'll see the trees perhaps in a way that's impractical for all of us to do so.
Got it.
Right, and call our attention to certain things that might have implications.
Okay, and I will say I've been on Shared Services Committee, and I think I'd like to keep a hand in that. I feel like it's kind of my baby, it's kind of our baby, so I'd like to see it continue to succeed, so. But I know we could use another member on that, so if one of you is interested in that and how it works and how we came to it, that would be fine. Peter, is there anything?
I've been on the committee, or the community outreach committee, and obviously this past year with COVID, it all shifted. And then my involvement actually became more with COVID mitigation and data analysis. to a different committee that's not even a part of this. We've done quite a bit. So this has been an interesting past 380 days of committee work compared to reality work too. So I almost need to fine tune my head a little bit more because some of these are coming back into play a little bit more than they had been over the last year, given what some of our other prioritized responsibilities on the board have been.
Okay, and I will say I was in community outreach too, and I always come back and share some of the highlights of things that I've gone to. I think anyone can do that. If there's, there's time, we all love to hear what's going on in the district, and
Right.
we all don't have enough time in the day to see everything, and there's some wonderful robotics team, wonderful results. There's been some really fantastic art scholarships and robotics and the choir and the band and the sports team. So for that particular committee, I think it would be fine if anyone wants to chime in with something that they saw that was impressive and they want to share. So.
For me, I think one that I would like to put my head in for is the finance and facilities. I don't think that it has met regularly recently. But it's one that whenever we have that discussion, I'd like to raise my hand for.
Okay, so I want you all to think about this, because we do have another board that's coming in that needs this room.
Oh, that's.
So I,
Just interesting.
That explains what's going on.
okay. So take your time. If, in the past, we've had mentoring positions too. If you want to have someone to kind of, that your go-to person, I'm always available by text. Just let me know and I will respond.
We will assign a mentor.
But we'll do that
Yeah.
at the next meeting. So I think right now, in order for timely fashion, we need to actually adjourn our meeting for this evening. But welcome aboard. We're so happy to have you.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Ellen?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Ellingson, yes. Kathy?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Pablo? Oh, of course. No, they're not on there. Okay, Andre?
Yes.
Wendy?
Yes.
All right.
Adjourn.
Is adjourned.
First one done?
There we go. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. You got it. And just didn't vote for me. I would vote for someone else. Maybe,